Hello everyone, JG1 Barton here. I just want to make a really quick video. This is going to be super rough, but I wanted to make a video going over one of the mistakes that I see other people make repeatedly. A mistake that I had to learn from the hard way many times before I finally had it drilled into my brain that this was never a good idea and that you should always behave in a certain way. And what I want to cover is climbing and how you climb specifically in a combat zone. So defining a combat zone is anywhere where you have in a multiplayer server an objective either that you have to attack or defend, or any major route between such an objective and an enemy airfield. So if you're in a combat area, especially this happens a lot, especially after people make a kill, and I've gotten quite a few kills because of people making this mistake. They get into a fight, they get super fast, they dive down, and they take out someone who isn't paying attention, or they get a quick kill, and they have a whole bunch of smash, and they think, well, I need to reestablish my dominant position in altitude, and so they just zoom climb, or they put themselves in a position where they're max climbing, so they end up with very low airspeed but a very high climb rate. And what this does is it makes him an easy target. So what you have to remember is that you need to be able to fight the next fight. And if the next fight is above you, climbing into it aggressively is just putting yourself at a really bad position. So I'm going to BF 109 G6 not for any particular reason, but I just want to demonstrate a couple of things real quick. So in a combat zone, I try to maintain a much higher airspeed while I'm climbing. For the BF 109 G6, or in most BF 109 variants, the best climb rate is going to be at any given throttle. We'll put it at 1.3 for our combat throttle here. We're going to pull the nose up until we get down to about 270 kilometers an hour. That's going to give us our maximum climb rate. We'll level off here a little bit to maintain our airspeed, and I'm going to pause the video. Let's go outside the plane. So you can see how high the nose is and how low my airspeed is. This is putting me at a really disadvantageous position. Let's say if I get bounced from the 5 o'clock position and above me. If I suddenly find myself in a fight, I don't have any extra airspeed with which to maneuver. The first thing I'm going to have to do is put my nose down so that I can start getting airspeed so that I can maneuver, and then I'm going to have to try and maneuver, and that's going to take time. And the last thing that you have when someone is bearing down on you with guns trying to kill you is time. So let's go ahead and try that. We're at just about 2,500 meters. We're going to hit 2,500 meters, so Angel's 2.5, and then I'm going to try and perform a split S more towards the right side to simulate breaking into an attacker coming in from the 5 o'clock. And Angel's 2.5, and now when you really have a lot of risk with being at that low of an airspeed of stalling the aircraft, and if you stall the aircraft, that's even worse. And I lost 500 meters off of that, but now I'm at 400 kilometers an hour, and now let's climb at 400 kilometers an hour. So now I'm climbing. I still have a pretty decent climb rate, but I have a lot more energy available to me instantaneously. So now not only am I climbing and getting ready to fight the next fight that might be below me, but I'm also ready to fight right now. So as I come up through Angel's 2.4, raise the nose a little bit, and then Angel's 2.5, much more controllable and much quicker, and more importantly, a lot quicker in that time zone where you're in direct line of fire from an opponent. This also has another advantage in that if you're traveling faster, the differential speed between you and your attacker is going to be less. So it also gives you more time to detect your opponent and more time to evade them before they get into gun range. Whereas if you're going slower, not only do you have less airspeed to react with, you have less airspeed to maneuver with. It's going to take you more time to maneuver in an effective manner. You also have a lot less time to detect an attacker, and that's going to make you a lot more vulnerable. And this skill, among with a few others, is going to greatly improve your survivability in a fight. So take this and a couple of rules about if there's opponents above you, do not climb into them. Leave the area and then climb. You never fight and climb at the same time unless you're fighting for a dominant position in a fight. You never try to climb up into a fight that's already happening. Leave the area, climb, come back, get into the fight in an advantageous position. Also, don't zoom climb after a kill. Especially if you are not being actively covered by a wingman, keep your airspeed up at all times. It's always better to be able to fight right now than it is to be, at a higher altitude or trying to go ballistic, because if your opponent that you're going to be fighting is at 3,000 meters and you're at 1,000 meters and you've got a whole bunch of airspeed and you try to zoom climb up to 3,000 meters, you just went from being in a place where your opponent really can't touch you because you're really fast and you're 2,000 kilometers or 2,000 meters away to being really slow and really close. So you can go from an advantageous position or a position where you're hard to hit to a position where you're easy to hit by trying to maximize your altitude, quote, advantage over anybody else. So stop trying to max climb and zoom climb in combat areas, and keep your head about you, keep your airspeed up, because there's one saying that I want everyone to be able to take away from this, and that's that airspeed is life and altitude is life insurance. So always remember that if you don't have airspeed, you ain't got nothing. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll be back around soon with another video like this. Stay tuned.